All right, so ladies and gentlemen, this problem says a rod is a unit of length, equivalent to 5.5 yards. If a field is 127 yards long, then how many rods long is the field to the nearest tenth? So when looking at this problem, again, they're describing something that I can kind of visualize, which is a field. So I'm just going to draw a nice box to represent the field. And they say that field from one side to the next is 127 yards. Then they say this rod, which is just a unit of measure, but I'm just going to think of this as something concrete and saying, oh, that's 5.5 yards, right? That's one rod. And what they're asking, bless you, what they're asking is, bless you, how many rods can we fit across the field? So they're really saying, how many of these for Tansy can we include throughout this whole field? How many of these rods can we fit evenly into 127, or not evenly, but round to the nearest tenth? So basically what they're asking us to do is take 5.5 and divide that into 127. Now, obviously when you have a calculator, it's going to be easiest to use a calculator for this. 127 divided by 5.5. But I am going to do the long method so I can remind you how we divide when we're dealing with decimals. And how we divide when we're dealing with decimals is we do not divide by the decimal. We actually make it a whole number as your divisor. So I move that over 1 decimal point. And here's my decimal point here. I move that over 1, which is going to be 0. OK? So now I am basically dividing a problem 55 divided by, or divided into 1,270. The reason why this works is think about it this way. 5 over 10 is the same thing as 50 over 100. If I just move the decimal point over 1 unit, I'm not changing the fraction. These are both examples of 1/2, correct? Yes? OK. So as long as I move the decimal point for my divisor and my dividend, it's still going to work. And I can apply my long division algorithm from here. For Tansy, could you turn your desk so it's actually facing forward? Thank you. So here I go, does 55 divide into 1? No. Does 55 divide into 12? No. Does 55 divide into 127? Yes. It divides in there 2 times. Then I take 2, multiply it by 55, and that's 110. Take my 2 rows, and I subtract them. 127 minus 110 is going to be 17. 55 does not go into 17, so I bring down the next 0. 55 does go into 170. That's 3 times. 3 times 55 is 165. Again, subtract my rows. Subtract, I get 5. 55 does not go into 5. I have no other zeros. So therefore, I have to create a decimal point. And then once I create my decimal point, I bring in another 0. 55 does not go into 50. So now I have a 0, which is my 10th place, right? So I'm trying to see what it would be to the nearest 10th. Well, my nearest 10th is 0. So now I need to go to the next 100th to see if does that round up or do I stay at 0. So I have to bring down, so that doesn't go into 50, so then I have to bring down another 0. And 55, does that divide into 500? Well, think about it this way. 55, or 50, we know divides into 500 10 times, right? So the highest number that it's going to be going into next, which you could obviously check, is going to be 9. And we don't really need to check that, but we know 55 does not go in there any more times than 10, so the highest number would be 9. And therefore, we only need the 100th place to round to the 10th place. So your final answer is 23.1. So if you didn't do the math, you should be writing